The first morning at Crestwood High felt colder than usual. Students rushed through the hallways whispering and staring at the office door, where a gold plate had just been screwed in. Director Maya Thompson. For the first time in the school's history, a black woman had taken the top leadership role, and not everyone was happy about it. Maya stood at her new desk, adjusting a framed picture of her late mother who had always told her, "Wherever life places you, stand tall, even when they try to push you down." She took a deep breath. She knew this job wouldn't be easy. Crestwood High had a reputation, strict rules, entitled students, and a culture that resisted change. But Maya had been brought in exactly for that reason. Outside her office, the arrogant footsteps of someone approaching grew louder. Then came a sharp knock. In barged Ethan Cole, Crestwood's most notorious troublemaker. Tall, confident, and used to getting his way because his father funded half the school's programs. He didn't bother to hide his smirk as he looked her up and down. "So you're the new director," he said, throwing himself into a chair without being invited. "Let's get something straight. People around here listen to me, not to outsiders." Maya's expression didn't change. "Is that so?" "Yeah," Ethan said, kicking his feet onto her desk. "Last director knew better than to mess with me. So let's not pretend things will be different just because." He paused, letting his eyes roam over her skin tone. "You're here." Maya felt the sting of the insult, but she didn't flinch. She had met bullies like Ethan before, boys who mistook privilege for power, disrespect for confidence. Still, the blatant prejudice in his tone made the room grow heavier. "Ethan," she said calmly, "put your feet down." He raised an eyebrow. Or what? What happened next took him completely off guard. Maya reached into her drawer, pulled out a file and slid it across the desk. "This is your disciplinary record. I've read every page. From now on, you'll be held accountable. Every rule will apply to you, the same as every other student." Ethan's cocky smile faded. No one had ever spoken to him like that. Maya leaned forward. "Welcome to a new Crestwood." Her voice was steady, powerful, and it echoed down the hall long after Ethan walked out, speechless. By the next morning, the entire school buzzed with whispers. The new director, Ms. Amina Carter, had arrived only yesterday, yet her name was already tangled in gossip. Thanks to Blake Turner, the school's notorious bully and self-declared king of seniors. Blake strutted through the hallway with his basketball under one arm, his voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "Yeah, she thinks she can come in here and boss us around. Some outsider. Probably won't last a week." A few nervous freshmen laughed, not because they agreed, but because disagreeing with Blake often meant becoming his next target. Amina, meanwhile, was in her new office reviewing student files, mapping out plans for discipline reform, and making notes for the upcoming assembly. She had already sensed the tension the moment she walked in, eyes lingering too long, half-hidden smirks, and the uncomfortable silence when she introduced herself. But Amina Carter had not been hired because she was timid. She had been hired because she knew how to rebuild broken environments. She had done it before. When her secretary timidly informed her about Blake stirring trouble, Amina looked up calmly. "Thank you. Bring him to my office, please." Minutes later, Blake barged inside without knocking. "You wanted to see me?" he said, slouching into the chair as if he owned it. Amina didn't raise her voice. She didn't glare. "I did. I hear you've been spreading rumors." Blake smirked. "It's not a rumor if it's true. You're not going to last." Amina folded her hands. "Is that what you think or what you hope?" That caught him off guard. For a second, his confidence flickered. Before he replied, Amina pressed a button on her desk. The projector screen behind her lit up, showing video clips from the hallway security cameras. Blake's mocking gestures, his comments, even a moment he shoved a freshman's books onto the floor. His face drained of color. You're spying on us?" he stammered. "No," she said calmly. "I'm observing my students and I take their safety seriously." Blake swallowed hard. No one had ever challenged him. Teachers were too scared, students too intimidated, and administrators too eager to avoid conflict. But Amina wasn't afraid. She leaned forward. "Blake Turner, today you're going to learn something new. Not punishment, responsibility." Blake blinked, confused, and that was the moment the entire school would remember forever, because her next decision would change everything. The first day, Dr. Alana Pierce walked into Crestview High as the new school director. The halls buzzed with the usual back-to-school chatter, until they saw her. Confident, composed, and carrying an aura of quiet authority, she walked with a calm that made even the loudest lockers seem to fall silent. Most students stared with curiosity, some whispered with excitement. But one person reacted differently. Troy Mason, the school's infamous senior bully. For years he'd terrorized students and teachers alike, mostly because his father was the chairman of the school board. He believed no one could touch him. And today when he saw Dr. Alana Pierce, he smirked. Another director? She'll be gone in a month, he told his crew. Watch. During her introduction assembly, Dr. Pierce spoke with confidence. I believe every student deserves respect and every voice deserves to be heard, she said. This school will be a safe space for everyone. Most students clapped. Troy rolled his eyes and muttered just loud enough, yeah, whatever. Later that day, while Dr. Pierce was walking through the hallway, Troy made his first move. As she passed, he intentionally bumped into her shoulder with full force, causing her papers to scatter across the floor. Oops, he said mockingly. Did I do that? Students gasped. No one dared confront Troy. Even teachers looked away, helpless. But Dr. Pierce didn't snap, didn't yell, didn't threaten. She calmly crouched, picked up her papers, and looked up at him. Not with anger, but with a quiet strength that made Troy's confidence falter for a split second. Interesting first impression, she said softly. We'll talk soon. Her calmness, her steady gaze, that was what shook him. It was the first time someone didn't react to him with fear or frustration. She had faced him with the dignity he wasn't used to. Whispers spread across the hallway. Did you see that? She didn't even get mad. Who is this new director? As Dr. Pierce walked away, Troy stood frozen, unsure why his usual tactics had failed. And for the first time in years, he felt something unfamiliar. Uncertainty. Because he had no idea that Dr. Pierce already knew exactly who he was, and she had come prepared to change everything.